everybody. I'm Jennifer Schwester, and I'm bringing you a mindfulness workshop for the virtual world language classroom. This is brought to you by the Greater Washington Association of Teachers of Foreign Languages, their YouTube video workshop series that they're bringing to you. And I'm coming to you live from my family room in New Jersey. For me, this has been a crazy 2.5 months for everybody. And I'm sure we all need some of these techniques and also to help our students out, because this is a whole different situation than what they're used to. So we always know, studies show that when we are stressed as teachers, our students have poor outcomes. That's nothing new. We know that. If we're not able to give them the best of us, then we're not going to get the best back from them. And especially during this time, they might see you juggling other children's schoolwork as you're trying to help them online. And it's really interesting I think it's an interesting concept for students to see us in our natural environments, everything together. We can all work on this together. We're all in the same situation. And I really, I didn't give them a tour of my house, but I really wanted them to see that I'm a real person, because even I do teach high school, and even high schoolers don't always see you as a real person. So I think that's a positive outcome out of this situation, is that we all are humans. We all have some of our fears, our anxieties, our nerves, and being in our own comfortable space at home, if it's a comfortable space, because maybe for some of our students and maybe for some of us it's not, but how do we make this all work? And so some of what I'm going to talk to you about in this video are things that you could do at home for yourself first, for your students virtually. Maybe it's your do now, maybe it's a warm-up, maybe it's just a suggestion. Hey, you might like to try this. Tell me if you liked it or not. And when we get back into our school buildings, definitely try to incorporate some of these into your daily routines. And it's good for you. It helps you to focus, and it helps our students to focus. So as I said, my name is Jennifer Schwester. I'm actually now going to be going in September into my 22nd year of teaching French. I currently am back at the high school level in Brick, New Jersey. It will be my 8th year. I've also been practicing yoga, and I've been a certified yoga instructor and teaching and giving workshops to other world language teachers for a little over 2 years now. I'm really happy to be working with a lot of special needs groups and sharing yoga techniques, some yoga philosophy, but broken down for modern life, because it really does translate. And I like to bring it to everybody. So very briefly in our video today, we'll talk about mindfulness, ways to be mindful, some breathing techniques, being in the present moment, and sharing some more activities with your students. And you can put anything in the target language. That's up to you. Do you want to stick in English, go to the target language, mix it up, it's up to you, but you can do these in the target language. I have some examples in target languages. I apologize that they're only French and Spanish. But I do have some links to some other sources. So again, coming back to us, you can't pour from an empty cup. There's nothing in there. So we have to take care of ourselves first. So this is also, some of these techniques are ways that we can bring some calm into our lives, some routine to our lives, and also help our students, and also help to create a really nice community in our classroom. So what is mindfulness? There's so many definitions out there. People have their own concept. Mindfulness is, very briefly, being fully present. So if we're always on our devices, sorry, this is a YouTube video, we will be on a device, but being aware of what's going on around you. We've seen our students walking down the hallway, facing the phones, not paying any attention, earbuds in. Being aware of where you are, being aware of what you're doing, and to not be overly reactive to what is happening around us. So knowing what's going on, coming back into the real world. So a couple of things that I like to do in my classroom, and you can even have this when you are online, you can have a mindful minute video. You can have some self-calming. relaxing music playing. And it doesn't have to be a video. It could be something off of your playlist. Some schools you're allowed to maybe have fairy lights up, twinkle lights, Christmas lights, whatever you want to call them. But turning on those overhead lights and they see that transition coming from maybe a noisy hallway into a calmer room is a really great way to start your class out. You need to set that scene. What kind of atmosphere would you like to have your students enter into? Do you want it to be all chaos, or do you want them to come in and feel that it's a place where they can settle down? And we can be mindful anywhere, okay? Just a quick check-in, okay? Oh, I'm at the supermarket. Oh, I'm sitting in my family room. Oh, I'm on my computer doing this. I feel the chair that I'm sitting in, it's kind of hard. My computer, it's sitting on my legs. It's kind of warm right now. So just a quick check-in. Where are you? Finger touch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or taking that deep breath in through your nose and counting out. Big exhale through your nose. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Big inhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that settles you right in. Helps you to just get started. You can just also do, as I was saying before, where am I? Where do I feel any body parts touching? I talked about where my computer is. Can I feel my inhale and my exhale through my nose? So this is a lot. You can do one. You can put up it one as your do now question. Sit down, think about where are you? Again, these could be in the target language. You know, when I do these with my students also, I do invite them to keep their eyes opened or closed. There will be some students who may not feel comfortable closing their eyes. That is totally okay. You know, I just tell students, you know, especially if they're sitting directly across from somebody, I'm like, maybe just like look over their head, or I let them look down at their desk. Maybe their hands are on their desk. Hands can be folded on their desk, and look at them. And that way, you know, they're not looking at each other and laughing, which it will happen. You know, for some students to call attention to yourself and emotions is something some of them are not very comfortable with. So we have to give them that time also to get used to them. So going back to that fingertip touch, sometimes you can add an affirmation in it with it. So I am here now. Je suis ici maintenant. Make it up in your target language. You know, syllable-wise, it doesn't work as well in French, but you can, you know, do whatever you want. Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, rouge, orange, jaune, vert, whatever. Maybe it lends to something that you're doing right now in class. So just doing that, and it's just bringing that attention. They can look at them. Maybe they're saying something aloud. Maybe they're just saying something in their head, and that's fine too. And for, you know, this is really great, especially, you know, some of our upper level students, you know, even lower level, you know, our novices. What are 5 things you can see? You can list 5 objects. 4 things that you can hear, 3 things that you can touch, 2 things that you can smell, 1 thing that you can taste. And, you know, maybe it's seasonal, maybe it's in the classroom, maybe you could say in the cafeteria. So this is a good way also to bring yourself into that current moment. If you're in a certain spot and you're starting to feel that it's a little bit too big, cafeterias are good places, gyms, pep rallies. So these are things, how can I bring myself down into what's going on around me and to focus on those? So that's, again, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, another variation of it. And when you look up mindfulness and breathing activities online, you will see so many of these, and I've twisted them, I've taken variations of them and trying to make them work, and how can we use them in our languages, in our target language in our classroom. This is all vocabulary that we can do. So you could do a full body scan once students get used to some of these quick mindfulness activities. And there's some variations with this too, especially when you're doing body parts. So quick and simple. You could tell students, pay attention or think about your feet, because we don't want them talking during this time. Again, in the target language. I will spare you my Spanish with a French accent, but faites attention à vos pieds, pensez de vos genoux. Pay attention to your stomach, your back, your shoulders. So different body parts as you're learning them, or just to incorporate them into that daily routine, and they will learn them that way. And I didn't fix the French side, because if you look, it says corazon, it should be care. And then there's so many different ways to go into breath work. And my favorite, and some of the children's favorite, and right now in this time, one, they might say it looks like a coronavirus. We might not be able to touch everything. We might not have these. If your students don't have these, maybe they have like a shoelace or a string. It's another way to do this. But the Hoberman sphere is a great, fun breathing technique. And so on our inhale, we're staring at the sphere until it opens up fully. I see you. And exhale through our nose until we're closed. Inhale and exhale. And students love to be in charge of this. So a student can direct this in the class. Inspirez par le nez, expirez par le nez. And that's a really simple one. Same thing with the string, opening, closing, opening, closing. Perhaps when we do get to go back to our classrooms, you might want to give everyone a string to keep as a bookmark, and they can use it, and then everyone has their own and they're not touching everything else. These are the things that we're going to have to start to think about as we go back. How are we still going to continue to adapt our activities and make them safe for everyone? So again, any way that you can make it work for you is great. Another body scan. This is the full body scan, noticing where you are at the moment. Close your eyes if you're comfortable, and talking them through this. Okay. Pay attention. And some more breath work, counting. We can match our inhales and exhales. Inhale for 4, exhale for 4. Inhale for 4, exhale for 5. Okay, and you can count in the target language. Balloon breath. Raising your arms on your inhale. Exhaling. Lowering those arms down. Inhaling and exhaling. And these instructions are all simple enough that you can model it and do it in your target language. The B breath is fun. You can either gently cup over your ears or push the skin flap down so it sounds like you're underwater, and take a deep inhale and either buzz or hum, zzz, and you get all that sound in your head, so you're really focusing on coming in instead of what's going on outside. It kind of blocks what's outside. So again, pay attention to your students. Some students really like the B breath. Some students do not like it at all. But if they do have a stuffy nose, it is a great breath to use to help loosen up some of that congestion too. So sometimes I can convince a few to try it. The cooling breath is great. Again, coming back into school, this might not be something that we'll be doing in the classroom because of particulates in the air, but it's something you could do at home with your students. And this is where you also learn who can curl their tongue and who cannot. It's genetic. You either can or cannot. Nothing's wrong if you cannot. I can. But if not, they'll stick their tongue out a little bit. And then they're like, this is the weirdest thing in the world. Like, they're just like, you want me to stick my tongue out? It's the one thing we say you can't do, and now you're allowed to. But it's also a breath where you can inhale through your mouth. So if your tongue's out, inhale, exhale. Or exhale through the nose. And you feel that cooling, the breath cools as it comes over your tongue, comes into your body. That helps to cool down. Deep belly breath. You can have both hands on your belly, one hand on your belly, one hand right over the center of your chest. And taking a deep breath, you feel your belly push out and your belly sink in. And maybe you feel this upper hand move, but not many people do. But you should feel that belly breath. That will tell you you're getting all that air down into your belly. So that deep inhale, that belly pushes out. It's the opposite of exercise breathing. High schoolers will fight me on this one. I'm like, that's how it should be. They don't like it. I'm like, just think the opposite, and they get over it. But that's the fun of high schoolers sometimes too, because they know this. So that mindful meditation, other ways to do this, not making it seem like we're meditating. Mindful coloring pages are great. You can find ones that go with some of your themes. This could be, especially if you're teaching younger kids too, when they come in, if you have recess and they need a settling down period, instead of, oh, we're going to breathe and follow more directions, let them do what they want. You can turn this into a speaking activity. Oh, what color did you color the first house, the second house, the third house? And students can ask and answer questions about these. I like to leave them for if I'm absent, if I'm at a workshop or I'm giving a workshop, I tend to leave these for the ones that either, finish the work early or don't do the other work. But then when we come back in, I'm like, oh, we're going to speak about all these pictures. And they're like, oh, I thought we were just coloring. So turning everything into target language use. We're secret, and sneaky. It's the fun of teachers. We think of all these great. Do an origami in the target language, or maybe not in the target language. The videos sometimes can be a bit challenging, especially for novices. The visuals are great. You can make your own video. We all are now, Zoom, Screencastify, Flipgrid. I'm sure everyone can make a video now and do your own origami video for your students to follow. Maybe if you're absent, this could be another great activity for them to do, but they're focusing on that paper. They're focusing on what they're doing. And it's also a lesson in frustration. Can I do this? Can I not do this? And so there's a lot of lessons that you can talk about also. Who got frustrated? Who wanted to quit? Who was able to persevere? And really taking that time to think about our feelings afterwards, because it might not be easy for everybody. Some people might have trouble with that dexterity to fold, but it's a great task for everyone. They're getting input, they're getting other skills that we need. And as I said, we can use all of our new video skills to do this. Great free download in Teachers Pay Teachers, giving a shout out to them. I'm sure we are all on them. Also, the site is called The Mindful Classroom. Coloring in the rainbow, talking about first what colors will we use, and then maybe if this part is red, the first part, inspirez, and tracing that finger. Expirez l'orange, inspirez jaune, expirez vert. So talking about it, using it, students can keep these on their desks. Sometimes they can sit quietly, put a finger and do their breathing quietly during a class. Maybe they feel that they need that moment, and they can do that themselves with that paper on the class. And going along those same lines, other ones, another one that I found, Pathway to Success, also on Teachers Pay Teachers, free downloads, but breathing in, tracing the arrows, breathing out. Inspirez, expirez. Following the arrows up and down. At another site that I saw, somebody suggested letting kids draw their own. Once they've used these, let them draw their own to keep on their desk. They could tell you about it. Different colors, different shapes, but something that's calming to them, that they can sit quietly and trace with their fingers and not disrupt the class when they need a moment to refocus. The Take 5 breath. There's a video for this, but looking at your palm, or your palm can be faced away. I usually start at the outside of the base of the thumb. We're going to inhale and exhale. Inhale to the top of the pointer, exhale. Inhale to the top of the middle, exhale. Inhale to the top of the ring, exhale, inhale, exhale, and then reverse it. If you have students who don't like to touch, they might not like that sensation, they could do it without having to touch. They can trace it on paper, going back to our last activities, and trace it on the paper. Use the eraser tip on the paper if they don't like touching the paper. There's so many different ways for them to get the benefits from the breath and the focusing, but also compensate, not compensating, but being honest. And if they don't like the touch or they don't like the feel of the paper, then acknowledge that. That's okay. We can make a way around this. Breathing in 4. Some people call this square breath. Some people call this box breath. So respiration en carré, inspire en 4. So inhale for a 4 count, hold for a 4 count, exhale for a 4 count, hold for a 4 count. Some people like to start it off 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, and build up, because holding for 4 counts is a long time. But also, if you have students who are in ROTC or into military, I'm thinking back to my son's friends when they were in grade school. This is what people in the military use for their training, police officers, firefighters, box breathing, and it also helps to reduce that fight or flight. So this is a huge breath they might come across again in their lives if this is the type of career that they want to go into. So that's another one to share. Again, the circle, inhale, exhale. So there's so many different ways to work on the breath, to bring that focus in, and to even get that tactile feeling if that's really what your students need. Another fun one to do is mindful eating. I tend to do this around Valentine's Day, so everybody gets a little snack. But this is also something you could do virtually with your students. They're due now, like if you're having a meeting, Google Meet or Zoom Meet, have them bring like a little something to eat, a little snack. And then you're going to tell them don't eat it yet, because you're going to talk them through it. And, start with sitting and breathing. Pay attention to what's in your hand or on your plate. Maybe pick it up. What's the weight, the texture, the temperature, the shape, the color? Smell it. And by this point, everyone's like, can't I just eat it? But also that delayed gratification. We don't have delayed gratification anymore. I can go online, I can order what I need, and they get delivered to my door. Smell and aroma, taste and texture. Once you finally get to eat it, how do you feel? And how do you feel when you're done? And I learned a hard lesson. The first time I did this at a teacher's workshop, I forgot to tell them don't eat the candy yet. And I passed out all the candy, and then I turned around and like most of the candy was gone. So, do remind them, don't eat it yet. Take your time. Tell them to have a few pieces just in case, and they can eat whatever they like then. And that way, if you have students with allergies, everyone's eating what they need. So with yoga, everybody wants to bring yoga and mindfulness and social emotional learning in the classroom. We've been doing social emotional learning. We're teachers. We talk to our students. Bringing that mindfulness is just a human thing. I think we've learned a lot about this, especially in the past couple of months. Is our mind full, or are we mindful? How does this help us, and how does this help our students? Do we want to go back and be like this, or do we want to be like this? Be mindful. What are we doing? Another great site that I love to use is Action for Happiness. They offer a free calendar every month. They have a theme. June's coming up, or you might be seeing this video in June. So, joyful June, even in difficult times. And they give you something every day to do that helps you to be more mindful, or bringing kindness to others, or taking care of yourself. Okay. Eat food that makes you feel good and really savor it. Okay. That might be all of my days, but going back to that mindful eating. So, taking those few minutes, they're not long, drawn out activities, but the best part, if you look over on the right-hand side, look at all the languages they offered in, yay. And you can print it out and share it. And I do that every, now that we're home, once June starts, I will have this up in their Google Classrooms. It's up to them if they want to use it, but this is also something, this could be a do now for one of your classes one day. A lot of mindfulness videos on site. Air France has one that they offer on their flights for kids and for adults. Breathing butterfly in Spanish. Meditación de la Rose. You can even just have on music. You might not need that visual. You might just want some quiet music. And one of my favorite quotes is by Melody Beattie. We are transmitters and receivers. When we become off center, we become like two-way radios whose tuners aren't on the right frequency. If we remember walkie-talkies, we aren't receiving or transmitting clearly. We hear and feel static. And maybe we're feeling like that because of everything that's been going on. And we are on like two-way radios with our students sometimes. Maybe we're not on at the same time. Most of my students do their work very late at night. I'm on from 8 to 2:50. So we don't always transmit and receive clearly. They might not understand my message, and then they get frustrated because I'm not answering them at midnight because I'm sleeping. And when we hear that static, when we're not hearing or receiving clearly, we want to be heard. So we need that time to get centered and to get peaceful. And that's where that mindfulness comes in, those quick minutes for ourselves. It's not selfish. It's not a waste of time. But when we're receiving clearly, when we're open to that, we can transmit clearly. And that's from Journey to the Heart by Melody Beattie. Another great video to watch is How Mindfulness Empowers Us. Okay. And you can watch this. You can just watch it on Google. And it's about which wolf will you feed? It's an old Native American tale. And you have to decide, are you going to feed the wolf that is always trying to be angry and reactive, or are you going to feed the wolf that is going to be kind and helpful and caring? And so you have to think about it in perspective of yourself or for your students. So if you Google, sorry, I had given shout outs. I'm getting no money back from any of these groups that I've shared, but which wolf will you feed? You'll find that video. It's a 2-minute video, and it's just another way. How are you going to react to what's inside of you? And how will you present that out into the world? And why should we do this? And when I came across this slide from Mindful Schools, we were still in the classroom, but we need this more than ever. Attention, okay? Paying attention. And our kids have spent a lot of time online if they've been doing their work, being able to focus on other tasks, maybe ones that we might not enjoy as much. Compassion. How do we build that classroom community? And if we're going to be building, we might be starting to build this online. We need this compassion. We need to build this community somehow. And this is one way to do that. Helping our students with their emotion regulation, helping ourselves with that, because some days we're like, this isn't working. And some days I'm like, okay, I can handle this. But especially now, because of this delayed or there's no physical contact, how are students reading emotions? How are they reading what we write to them and what they write to each other? And we all know our social media and all those issues with our students. And calming that anxiety and distress. They're anxious. They don't know what's going on. A lot of our students have been thrust into different situations at home. Maybe they're now taking care of siblings so parents can work. Maybe some of our high schoolers are working full-time because their parents have lost their jobs, but they were able to get some work. It's really helpful to give our students these tools. It's very, very important to give them these tools to help them start to work on this calming and this emotional regulation. Tons of references. So many books. Google it. There's so many things out there. There's podcasts, there's videos, so many books out there. Please reach out to me. If you just, for your internet search, just put mindfulness in French for kids, mindfulness in Spanish, mindfulness in Italian, whatever language you're teaching. And thank you so much. I really appreciate you all watching my video today. Please reach out to jennyzenyoga, all one word, at gmail.com if you have any questions. And I really appreciate you being at my session for the GWATFL future. But until then, it was great seeing you online. Take care of yourself. Have a great day.